Good afternoon. So here we are at the holding yard, getting things ready for mite treatments, and also at the other yard we need to be pulling some honey supers. We got a lot of honey up there we need to get off. So anyways, this yard we're going to start their mite treatments. First treatment I use is Formic Pro, and I do the 20-day option, so the single dose twice, not the double dose once of 14 days. I found that that's really strong. Also, since we got these 5 frames here that we're going to get into, 5-frame nukes, 5/5, and one of them's got 3, but I doubt they're in the top one. I'm probably going to cut the Formic Pro in half. That's something new for me. I've never kept 5-frame nukes. Just seems to make sense, but one of the things you always want to keep in mind is you want as much air as possible, so even with a single, have a honey super above it. I have no honey supers available, but I do have my winter quilt boxes. So they're not going to be able to get all the way to the top of the box through this screen, but it's going to provide good ventilation. That Formic Pro it's some strong stuff. So we're going to get in and get it done. We had a problem at one point with ants on this one. Seems to have gotten better, but I still don't like this lid. Last time we were in here, we had to do some pretty extreme checkerboarding. Everything looks really good, especially lots of bee faces on every frame. We would have moved the frames that needed to be worked towards the middle. Sorry about the building that's going on. So all we need is evidence of the queen. As far as the way I keep bees, I don't need to find the queen. Everything normal, this would be your honey. It turns out it's our brood. So one of the problems of keeping just on cinder boxes, there's no place to rest a frame. And that right there is kind of sketchy. So we got brood. We got frames being drawn out better. We got drone cells. We got larvae. And since we're here to treat them, the best way to treat them is to keep them in the box, keep them in the colony, and they're coming out hot already. Yeah, I'd say environment-wise, although I'm not seeing robbing of any of these colonies, I'd say we're in a dearth. The way they're just popping out of here at the slightest little movement. So here's your Formic Pro. 2 doses, each blister pack. It's potent stuff. Try not to breathe it. You shouldn't really get it all over your gloves, but so right in the center, and they're already roaring. As soon as I put that on there, I don't know if you can hear that. As soon as I put that on there, pissed them off. Another reason why to just get in and out. All right, so that's 10 days. You got to pay attention to the temperatures. Nothing above 85 degrees. Completely open entrance. You don't need an upper entrance, but you need that bottom entrance completely open. In 10 days we come back and we do the same thing. If it's over 85 degrees, you can postpone the second dose. Also, you know, it's not supposed to be over 85 degrees, but in 4 or 5 days, we're gonna be over 85 degrees. It's very tough to time it when this is the time of season that you probably should be treating. So I've always had luck is making sure the first couple days are within the temperature margin, 4 or 5 ideally. And then if it gets above 85 degrees, this has already gotten weaker, the smell. And I've had good luck with that. So it's tough to keep it on below 85 degrees in late summer when it's the time that you feel that you should be treating. This one was our shakedown swarm. If you saw the video, it's huge, huge swarm. My guess was they weren't ever going to make it up to this third box to work it. I thought at this point I'd be taking it away. It's the first time this lid has been popped. So they got it propellized pretty good. So I'm not going to bother bringing you over. I'm just going to show you a middle frame here of what we already probably knew. Go on. None of these frames are worked. They're on them, they're up here. So, if I was not treating, I would be shaking down at this point this box into the other box and making the decision that they're going into winter as a 5/5. They're not going to build comb. But because I'm treating, I want that ventilation. All new wax. I could pull those frames out, but I can tell they're packed to the ends, wall to wall. So I could make a big mess. And again, we're here to treat, not to inspect. All I want to see is evidence of a good functioning colony. Sure, I'd love to see eggs, but good functioning colony, which this is right here. So you want the Formic Pro in the area of the brood, right? And then if everything's going normal, you're gonna have honey on the outside and these inner frames are gonna be brood. And it's going to span both, so we're going to put it right there in the middle, and I am going to cut it down. They're only going to get a half dose. That's just what makes sense to me at this point. I will say also, my singles last year, I didn't treat with Formic. My doubles and my honey productions, that is full honey, incredibly heavy. My honey production colonies, I did. Ones that I didn't treat, the singles, none of them survived. I did oxalic acid, but I did not do Formic. And as I just said, none of them survived. So this paper's supposed to stay on. Smoker went out. We knew that was going to happen. Like I've said before, sometimes just the smell, you can see moved them. You don't even need to smoke. All right. Yellow jacket, trying to get in here. Another sign of dearth. Give them this empty box just to provide them more ventilation. The Formic Pro only works if they're inside there. If they need to move around or move up, give them the space to move up. They're still in there getting the dose. Formic Pro works underneath the cell. That's why one of the reasons why I prefer it. Also, I can use Formic Pro with honey supers on. It's another reason why I prefer it. I've never used Apivar. I started using Formic Pro based on research. And judging by some of the things I've heard of Apivar, you know, people have success, but I'm sticking with the Formic for now. That is a good little colony. On to the next. This is a swarm we caught in Grand Rapids area. More like Ada Cascade if you're from the area. It was medium size. I see some disappointment down there. I don't want anybody going into winter with frames that aren't drawn out. And they got 3 that aren't drawn out. The bottom looks better. This one, actually all of them. I need to come up with a way to feed them. That's a bummer. It's hard to get them to draw when there isn't a nectar flow. That thing is light. The bottom looks good, but it's light. Regardless, they need to be treated. These are swarms from all over. So we're mixing them up, introducing other bees to the area. Chances are one of these had mites and it's living next door to the other one. This is treating precautionary and initial catch treatment that I do. I just don't do it when I catch them. I let them build and then treat. So this one's marginal on whether it needs more space. I'm just gonna go by the fact that that Formic Pro is super strong. Super strong stuff. I'm gonna give them more space. Now they start their 20 days of misery. Queen will stop laying. Brood break is good. Formic Pro treats underneath the cells. That's awesome. If I was collecting honey, I can leave my honey supers on, but they don't like it. And I don't like having to do it. But you don't have a choice if you're not doing some type of mite treatment. And by mite treatment, it could be what traditionally is called not treating. You know, if you're buying your queens and they're mite resistant, you're treating, and that's great. If you're using other products, you're treating, that's great. If you're doing drone frames and pulling the drone frames, that's a form of treatment. So there's all kinds of form of treatments. There's chemical, and then all the other things that I mentioned and plenty more. So I think it's important that you treat for mites in one way or another. And this is how I choose to do it, along with oxalic acid, and that'll come later. I don't use oxalic acid when the honey supers are on. I can, by law now, I believe. It doesn't matter to me. I don't like the idea of it. I'm not doing it. So anyways, that's it. Everybody's treated or started up at this yard, and we got to get to the other yard. We got a lot of work ahead of us. Hope your bees are well. Thanks for watching.